I mean, it's hard to know what to expect from them this season, Craig, because it's impossible for it not to affect this side going forward.
Well, if they win the league, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Off the back of losing their greatest player. That's going to be tough, and we were talking about Real Madrid yesterday on the show and how that's not a particularly strong-looking side either, and I think if I was Atletico Madrid, once again, I think I would be quite chuffed and quite excited about the season, seeing what's going on at their main challengers. But, you know, as Koeman said, sometimes it's about the team and it's a chance for others to really step up. I mean, really step up, because he's not there anymore to look around the dressing room, look on the pitch in troubled times and say he's going to pull us out of it, he's going to do something magical again, and it's going to be time for the others, and De Jong to step forward, and Griezmann and all these guys who we haven't probably seen the best of them. Certainly from Griezmann's point of view, we've not seen the best of him. And it's the scenario, well, you know, it was because of Messi. You know, the two, you know, they drift into the similar positions. And well, not really that excuse anymore, is there? So it's up to others to step forward and see, and there's some experience in there. I mean, it's not the greatest Barcelona team I've ever seen, but...
This is Sid's possible 11
yep.
for the weekend against Real Sociedad.
Yep.
There's a question mark, obviously, because we don't know if Depay is going to be registered or not, but you'd assume that if he is, he's going to be there.
Yeah, you would assume so, and obviously Pedri had a fabulous summer again and just showcased his wonderful talents. You know, I think Busquets is a bit like Real Madrid with their ageing players in there. I think the miles on Busquets' legs is a concern. And that back four is not like Real Madrid, it's not the strongest. So yeah, it's hardly an ideal Barcelona team, but it's hardly an ideal scenario all round, both for them and for the league and for Real Madrid. So it is going to be a tough one to call, but you know, I mean, it just depends. I think it depends on Atleti, because I think both Barcelona and Real Madrid will, with that kind of team, will slip up often in this league.
So Sid, if Depay isn't registered, what can we expect to see in that front line for Barcelona this weekend?
I'm not honestly sure. Without Depay, you would say Dembélé, who's injured. Without Depay or Dembélé, or even with Dembélé, you would say Ansu, who's also injured. So maybe you start talking about Coutinho. Maybe you see a shift in the formation to try and fit these players in. I think when you look at this Barcelona team, I must admit, I think the 11 looks reasonably strong. The problem is, what is there in reserve, and what can you shift, what can you move? And a little bit like with Real Madrid, where you say Casemiro, Kroos and Modric is still a brilliant midfield three, but how many of the games will those three be able to play? Barcelona have very, very little in reserve in midfield, for example. So I think there are very, very significant doubts, and I agree with Craig. And in fact, it makes me want to ask Craig this question: if you've ever been in a scenario in which a player has left the club that you've played for, who's been clearly the best, and how do the other players respond? Do they actually enjoy suddenly being given the responsibility and the obligation and the opportunity to play, or do they find themselves lost without that footballer to whom they always looked in the past?
Well, I think it's a difficult one, because I left before those players said. But I'm thinking about looking round at Chelsea in particular, or even Celtic, to the Henrik Larssons or to the Gianfranco Zola, or indeed at the end of his career to Ruud Gullit, who I think was 34 at Chelsea. But you do look to those players. You know, you do. You not only look up to them, but you look to them on the field to do something magical. And so, as I said, that has gone. I mean, I left before those guys were all still there when I left to go to Celtic, and the same when I left Celtic to go back to England. Henrik was still there, but I know for a fact when Henrik Larsson, for example, broke his leg in Lyon in the UEFA Cup, we all looked round at each other and thought, where's the goals going to come from now? Because Mark Viduka was a fine player and was his partner, but he didn't have the skill facets that Larsson had. And so when you lose somebody like that, all of a sudden, you know, Larsson in the end was 40 goals plus a season, then he got his another big move to Barcelona. But when you do lose a player like that, either you come together and others step up, or you feel sorry for yourself and you use it as an excuse, and you hide behind that blanket K of, well, we had all these problems and we sold our best player, or we got rid of our best player, he's gone, So we're not expected to be this great Barcelona team anymore. And I'm intrigued when this season starts just to see how these players respond. I hope it's the let's roll the sleeves up and show we can do it without them. But it'll be interesting in adversity whether any of them use the media to push the Messi scenario as an excuse for some bad results.